What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner. Normally, I don't make videos at night. I like making them outside in the sun, playing in the sunshine. But I had to respond to the Brett Kavanaugh hearing today with Dr. Ford. Now, before I get into that, I want you to check out Extreme Tees. They sent me a new shirt, y'all. And this one got the Bahamian, the Bahama, the Caribbean little paraphernalia on the front. You see the little palm trees, y'all? Yeah, it's mine. Boom, 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 boom. Come select with that boy like me. Bad, yeah, man. Yeah, so they got shirts for all shapes, sizes, colors, and designs. Okay, so you want to check them out. The links are in the bottom. I don't care if you skinny enough to hula hoop with a Cheerio. I'm sure they have a shirt that would fit you. Okay, all right, so check them out. The link is in the bottom. Now, let's get into it. Well, it looks like that the Democrats were able to drag, I guess, Dr. Ford in for her hearing. And I'm going to tell you right now, they prepped her pretty good, I have to admit. She came across somewhat believable if you are pretty much naive, because the first thing that drove me nuts was when she was reading or reciting the events. Instead of showing like tears, which we're gonna get to Brett Kavanaugh and his opening statement in a minute, which really it touched me. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm not a softcore man. I ain't even no emotional guy. There's very few things in the world that would make me kind of feel something on the inside, and Brett Kavanaugh kind of hit me deep today when he start with his opening statement. I'm gonna get there in a minute. Anyway, getting back to her. So instead of like showing tears and all that stuff, what it was like that kid who cries with no tears, and the cry isn't really sincere. They're not really hurt. They just got that, and you're gonna make me choke you. So while she was giving her testimony the whole time, and she just had a very quivering voice like this, especially when the one lady who the Republicans brought in to question her, they asked, no, matter of fact, I think it was one of the Democrats, the time that they were asking questions to her, of course, they weren't real questions because they don't want to know the truth. What it was is they were simply taking that opportunity to give, basically a dissertation, a monologue, things like that, and to praise her for all of her bravery and strength. I know it took some awesome strength to do this. I commend you and your bravery. Too many women aren't believed. Tell us, trying to invoke emotions. What was one thing that you remember that just stands out? I remember it was the laughter. It was the laughter. And so she ripped that off. And I'm sure that people watching it might have got caught up and got all emotional and sensitive and so on and so forth. So the Democrats, they did their job. We know what they were coming to do. But the Republicans brought a neutral party. I guess she's a prosecutor. And she began to question her, asking some questions. And we started to unravel some things, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. First thing we found out is that Dr. Ford was lying about flying. She claimed, I can't come to the East Coast. I'm scared to fly. I'm going to have to drive. Now, could it be that was the Democrats saying, look, man, call a timeout, fake an injury, go down, give us some more time to come up with a game plan. We need about another week so we can drum up some more garbage from Alvanetti and this other lady. We need some time. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to say that you're afraid to fly. That should buy us at least a week. Okay? And then we'll concoction some more garbage. By the time you get there, there'll be about 2 or 3 more accusations that we can say, look, we're tying it all together. So here she is saying, I'm afraid to fly. Now, the lady that was the question to her, she pointed it out like, that's odd, because it shows here that you went to Hawaii. I like Hawaii, ladies and gentlemen. Personally, I don't like flying either. All right? But I understand if I want to get to Hawaii, I got to get my butt on a plane. She liked to go and explore and have adventures and travel the world and see all these things. How'd she get there? On foot? Maybe a skateboard, perhaps. Who knows? Dune buggy. What about a canoe? What about a canoe if she went to Hawaii? Not sure. She said she had been back and forth to see her family on the East Coast. And the question becomes, if you're afraid to fly, it didn't look like that to me. And of course, her excuse was, well, when I'm going to do things this fun, it's not as bad, it's palatable. Okay, fine. All right. But then you start to get into some other things like, she asked her, well, what steps did you go through to get this information out? Well, when I saw that Brett was in the runnings, I felt like it was my civil duty. So therefore, I start writing letters, trying to reach out to people. Nobody responded. Didn't reach out to the president, didn't reach out to the RNC. Or how about this? How about write a letter to both parties, okay? But instead, for some reason, she felt confident that I'm going to write a letter just to the Democrats who, for whatever reason, probably have every incentive to stop this nomination from happening, right? Because according to Dr. Ford, she just wanted to see a qualified, nominee besides Brett to get put up. She didn't want him because he was a sexual offender. So now, if that's what you wanted, and it was the Republicans' responsibility to nominate a responsible nominee, then why would you send it to the Democrats? Huh? They're not picking. This is Trump's election. So why didn't you send it to Senator Grassley or somebody like that and let them look at the letter, or both parties look at the letter? But you sent it to Feinstein. Now, here's the crazy part. Feinstein, we find out, and her crew started coaching her. Start saying, listen here, what you got to do, you get a lawyer, okay? And then you take a polygraph, all right? Now, when we find out also that when Brett Kavanaugh was sitting there right in front of Feinstein, instead of saying, hey, listen, man, we got this letter. I need to ask you some questions about it. Knowing that she had already counseled this lady, told Ford, hey, go get you a lawyer, get you a polygraph and all of that stuff. Because, see, we're going to keep you right in this bag. And at the last second, we're going to pull you out of our bag of tricks and boom, throw you right in front of the people. That's what we're going to do. So, whole time, they could have been talking to Brett Kavanaugh about this, or even brought it to the Republicans. We find out that they didn't, y'all. All right. They never even said anything to them. They kept it on the low until the last second. All right. So then she asked her about the polygraph. So, well, who suggested you get a polygraph? Now that threw her. She was sitting there like, what do I say to Pete? Somebody told me. And then the counselor, see, that's why she had them lawyers sit next to her. If y'all didn't see, she had two lawyers. They was quick to step in and run interference. Don't answer that. No. She won't answer that because that's a part of consulting privileges. We can't have her. Yeah. Okay, whatever. All right. Well, who paid for the polygraph? What do I tell him? I don't know. Well, I didn't pay for it. I don't know who paid for it. It's been taken care of. So they were stepping in areas where this lady was going to prove that the Democrats and that crew has been behind trying to quarterback this and coach her and show her what route to go to set this whole thing into motion. So, of course, she skips around all of that stuff. And she says, well, I don't know who paid for the polygraph and so on and so forth. And then they get to how the letter got distributed. So Ford says, look, I gave the letter to Feinstein, and I think she said maybe her lawyers. And she said she didn't authorize it to be distributed. So how did it get out? Because later on you'll find, if you watched it, Feinstein, or, she's talking about I didn't let the letter out. I don't know who let it out. And maybe some of her friends that she talked to might have leaked it to the press, because when they asked Dr. Ford, well, what made you come out? She starts saying things like, well, it was because the media was showing up at my house and stuff. Well, how did the media learn about this whole thing if the letter never got leaked? Through osmosis? You think the media was just sitting around like, we need a story, guys. Wait a minute. I'm getting a mental signal. There's somebody out there right now that wants to accuse Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault. I think her name is Dr. Ford. Let's go and harass her for the information. We know that they leaked this information to the media, okay? Nobody's stupid. But Feinstein tried to act like I didn't do it. Because, see, what it did, it made all the Democrats look foul and funky like they really are. Because what they did is they abused this lady's trust, threw her under the bus. But I'm not even going to blame them completely, because she knew who she was giving the letter to. All right? If you go on a date with the devil, you know exactly who he is. So at the end of the night, when you get burned, don't whine to me. Now, What else happened? I wrote some of this stuff down. So then, what really got me is when they start harassing. Oh, let me go here first. I think the lady from Hawaii. Yeah. So she gets up there and she gets her turn to speak. And of course, the Democrats, when they got a chance to question Dr. Ford, it wasn't questioning her because they don't really want to know the truth. All they really want to do is just simply congratulate her for her bravery and her strength to come out and tell her story and to sabotage this nominee for us. Thank you for allowing yourself to be used by our party. We appreciate that. And after this is over, we'll never talk to you again. We won't follow up and check on you to see how you're doing because that's not important. Right now, what is important is you just sabotage what's going on here. Okay, so she goes in, Herona starts off and asks Senator Grassley, who I love. I think it's Senator Grassley, the guy who conducted the whole process. She says, are you planning on using this prosecutor to ask all the questions? Yes. With the straight face. I don't think she was ready for that, y'all. It shut her all the way up. She was like, okay, well, I'll move on then. He said it emphatically, like, yes. A straight face. I love him, man. He gets right to the point. So anyway, let's get on to my man, Brett Kavanaugh. Okay, now, Brett Kavanaugh comes out and he threw a monkey wrench in the Democrats' plan. Because, see, I guess there was this prepared speech that everybody was expecting, and he wrote a whole different one, and it was powerful. It was moving. I loved it for the fact that not only did he address his pain, sorrow, and suffering, but he also pointed out the corruption and the true motive of the Democrats and how they have just completely infected the whole process and degraded it to a point that it may take years to rebuild this process for real. And not only did he do all of that, but he did something that if you're a man, it got to be real serious when you turn on the waterworks. See, there's only very few times that some men would turn on the waterworks. If a man been with his woman for years and he finally get to that point where he like, I done went too far. She is mad. She's going to leave me. When in doubt, in case of emergency, break glass. And you turn on the waterworks like, see, and hopefully to bust her up on the inside like, oh, girl, he was crying. I ain't never seen him cry. He must really care about. Yeah, he turned on the waterworks, so it must have been serious. And it actually made, it almost choked me up. Look, almost though. Okay, so don't get no funny ideas just in case you're some of my enemies out there. I don't want y'all to think I'm soft. But it was so compelling that it made me get all misty out on the inside. I said on the inside, not on the outside, okay? But on the inside, I was feeling it because you can see the sincerity and the pain that he was going through and the anger. I'm sure. See, you will cry for different reasons. You cry for joy, you'll cry from anger, and you'll cry from hurt. All of these things can evoke that. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you feel like somebody has violated you and you crying out of anger and it's mixed with hurt, I felt all of his emotions because all I can do is think, what would I be doing? How would I feel if I did it? It's one thing. You own your choices, okay? But if you didn't do it and somebody accusing you, you are furious. And what I loved about what he did is that he didn't only bring the emotion to his argument or his opening statement, but he gave a dissertation of logical and systematic and evidence of all the reasons why none of these claims make any sense, to the point where you have to simply blow through all of the evidence. Like Mr. T back in the day when he used to run through doors and just break through the door. I'm like, Mr. T, why don't you just try to open it? He run right through the door. All right. Well, the same thing. The Democrats blew right through all of the evidence. This man broke out a calendar with all of his days throughout the whole year of when they alleged that this thing took place. Who does that? Who keeps the calendar at 16, 17? Nobody. But I guess he did. They probably picked the wrong person to try to stick this garbage on because this man is meticulous. So now, that right there should have shut it all down. Once you go through all of that and you say, well, heck, this dude got an account for every day of the week, of the month, and the year that they said all this took place. So we might as well shut this down. But not only did he do that, then he brought up all the other surrounding evidence of why this is crazy. Not only that he proved that he wasn't there, but then he talked about the 3 people that were named from her, saying these people were there. But guess what? All 3 of them not only did not corroborate her story, but they also denied it. So it wasn't just passive, it was aggressive. It was like, not only am I not going to support that garbage, but I'm going to go one step further. That garbage never even happened. But yet, they're still going on with these questionings. Right there in any court, you would say, but that solves it. No witnesses. The lady can't come up with any details, nothing. So let's just go ahead and scratch it. Court adjourned. Boop, but not the Democrats. Democrats going to keep trying to make it sound like it makes some sense. That's why I say with the Democrats, can't make sense out of nonsense. So then they start going on and on after they start questioning him about the FBI, wanting him to, I guess, ask for an FBI investigation, which is dumb. And then they start badgering him. He started off, Brett, I saw a little difference in him. He took the gloves off this time, and he was a little feisty in the beginning. But I started to notice something about Brett, and I'm going to get to it in a second, y'all. So the FBI is the big topic. They're asking the FBI. All right. Now, you have to ask yourself, whenever the Democrats have a talking point, and every one of them are going after one particular thing, you always got to ask yourself why. What's the real motive? See, they're saying FBI. Don't you want to just be sure? Don't you want to really clear your name, Brett? You don't want this looming over you, do you? So if you was really innocent, you would want the FBI to do an investigation, wouldn't you? Now, this is where I start getting concerned. See, I figured out something about Brett. The pressure messes with him. He's not good under pressure. They start breaking him down. He tried to come out at first as a strong alpha male, but I quickly realized he's not an alpha male, y'all. When they start badgering him, he starts squirming. And he was like, I didn't do it. I ain't do nothing. I'm telling you, the people said they wasn't even there. They look, do you? And then, of course, they badgered him to the point where it got ugly. So the FBI, I think I hear somebody coming in about to mess my video up, y'all. See that guy in the background? I talk about him sometime. It's my dad. It's like Fred and Lamont. Whenever I'm doing a video, y'all, he's like, you know what? I know my son's doing video. I'm coming. I'm gonna just mess with it because he's a Democrat, and we just got done talking about this, man. We bumping heads. I love him anyway, though. All right, even though he never wins the argument. Teddy, you want to say something to the people? Huh? You got anything to say to the people? No? Mum's the word. Anyway, so not only do they start breaking him down, they're badgering this guy. They're badgering him, and I think it was what is that senator? Darn it. It was, one of them. Anyway, they start trying to make him beg for an FBI investigation. They're giving it to him. And the one guy got on him and he's saying, Dick Durbin, that's who it was. Dick Durbin. He like, he went to church on him. He hit him with the, turn to your neighbor and ask your neighbor for an FBI investigation. He was saying, I want you to turn and look over here at Senator Grassley or whoever this person was and ask him for an FBI investigation. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And Brett Kavanaugh could have easily said, why would I do something like that? I don't need to do that. I don't have to prove anything. I just gave you all the evidence. I just gave a wonderful argument. And there's no reason for an FBI investigation, considering that the Senate was investigating this thing once they heard the accusations in the first place, and y'all didn't even participate in it. So if you really wanted to get to the truth, you would have participated, but y'all didn't want that. Y'all wanted to wait till the last second, throw a monkey wrench in all of this, and see if you can drag it out. I would have pointed him out. I would have just straight called him out on it. Like, you sound crazy trying to make me ask for an FBI investigation that's not necessary or needed. So the guy's badgering him, and all of a sudden, now see, the Republicans tried to play fair. They tried to have a neutral party ask questions for both Brett and for Ford. But the Democrats, we all know they don't play fair. So they asking all these hard questions, and Brett Kavanaugh is kind of, he's starting to, what, the pressure's on me. I'm not thinking quick enough. And see, I'm going to tell you this before I move on to what happened next. Because just hold on for one more second. So, I came to the conclusion, in spite of all the other evidence that Brett Kavanaugh showed, that shows that he didn't do this, wasn't even there. There's one more piece of evidence that you got to know a little something about psychology to really piece this together. After what I saw today, after Brett Kavanaugh started getting pressured and badgered, and I seeing him taking blows, he was in the ring staggering. I mean, they had him on the ropes for a second when they was asking him about this FBI investigation. Well, Brett Kavanaugh, his personality and temperament doesn't seem like an alpha male. Now, granted, he's smart. He's book knowledgeable. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's a passive guy. You can tell. I mean, he's a very passive guy, and he does things by the book. He plays by the rules, very organized, very detailed. But usually, passive guys like that aren't the kind of aggressive guys that's going to be jumping on girls, throwing them to the ground, doing things. Like he has girls for friends. Most guys don't even have that many girls for just friends. Most guys don't look at a nice looking girl and say, you know what? She's gorgeous, but I'm not interested in her in any other way except for just being a friend. You know, most alpha males realize that, okay, relationships with females most of the time have to have a purpose unless they just evolved organically because I work with her or grew up with her at school or something like that. But he has all these females just for friends, and they're okay with him and they're confident with him, and he's never violated that. He's not an aggressive alpha male. And most of the time, it is alpha males who would do something like the stuff that they were accusing him of doing. And so I'm watching this and I'm going, Brett, keep fighting. He started off strong, but they was wearing him down. And then all of a sudden, y'all, I hear this sound in the background. That's right. All of a sudden, I hear the music in the background, and the lady who was asking all the questions wasn't getting it done. And all of a sudden, Lindsey Graham comes in the ring and starts knocking out all of the Democrats, put them all the way back on their heels, y'all. If y'all didn't see it, check it out. Now, I ain't even really a big Lindsey Graham fan, but I'm going to say this. The last couple weeks, this man's arguments have been on point. He comes in judo chopping with the best rant and argument ever. Put them all, the Democrats was like, oh, he just called us all out. And I'm going to give you just a couple talking points, then I'm going to get out of here, okay? So he comes in and he starts off and he starts talking about how Senator Feinstein had this letter. He said, Brett, did you know she had the letter when you was talking to her? No, I didn't. Yeah. Did you know she had already suggested to this woman to start seeking counsel? And they had already had her going to get a polygraph. Did you know that when you were sitting right in front of her and she could have brought it up? No, I didn't. You know, and then he starts to go into some other points. He points out the fact that, you know, not only is Brett Kavanaugh a victim of this, but he says that Ford is a victim of this. And she is, y'all. She is nothing more than somebody who's been used by the Democrats for this particular situation. All right. And then he goes on to destroy, all right, the Democrats, because he says this right here is a big fraud that is just such a horrific indictment against the whole process. And he said that it is going to mess up the process for years to come when it comes down to people wanting to even put their name in the hat for any type of political position. They have done the whole Senate a disservice through this whole situation. They have made anybody who has their eyes set on going up that ladder, that they set such a bad precedent. It's like, you know what? Why would I even want to go through that? They tried to destroy this man's whole entire life because they mad that they can't put a Supreme Court justice on the bench that's going to, invoke their will. Simple as that. And then he goes on to say, y'all are trying to make us believe that in high school, from grades, say, 10 to 12, that this man was Bill Cosby, where he was running sex rings and drugging people, and then all of a sudden decides to go to straight and narrow. And, you know, from his experience, he was saying that most of the time people who practice this behavior, they continue with that behavior. But this man has a spotless record from that point all the way up until now. And all of a sudden, these accusations just fall out the sky. And then he goes on to say that if the Republicans do not vote for him, they will be responsible for co-signing this crap, this garbage. And he hit it right on the head, because that's exactly what it is. It's a bunch of crap. And I'm going to tell you, I think right then, Lindsey Graham wins the Superstar Award of the night with that one. One of the best speeches. He came off the bench. He came into the ring and started knocking everybody out. And what it did is it really exposed the motive of the Democrats. And now they had to be conscious of everything they asked Brett Kavanaugh moving forward. And trying to be careful not to fall into the categories that Lindsey Graham just pointed out. And that is how you defeat the Democrats, by exposing their motives before they even do it, because they're so simple. They are so paper thin. If you have any brains, you can see the writing on the wall. They do the same stuff over and over again. They run the same plays over and over again. They do the same moves over and over again. You know, if they were playing basketball, they can only dribble with their right hand. That is it. No crossovers, no nothing. Just right hand. If they was boxing, they're not switching it up, going southpaw. They can only throw a jab. You know, they are very transparent when it comes down to their tactics. They use the same stuff. Racism, sexism, all these fake accusations, dragging women out of nowhere, you know, throwing them out there, saying, look at this. You know, we can't really investigate it, but it's something to just think about. And if you are a good, upstanding person, then you'll vote no against Brett Kavanaugh, you know, but not based on facts, but based on your feelings. And that is what they're about. And Lindsey Graham might have sold the deal when it came down to Brett Kavanaugh's his nominee. I think all the Republicans, if they smart, they will do the right thing and they will vote this man in and stop the funky, nasty Democrats from pulling this again. Because if we don't stop it, they will do it every single time. You let them get away with it once, they will do it until the cows come home. You know what they're like, and I'm going to close with this. You ever see that experiment they did with the monkey that they was giving cocaine to? They would give a shot of cocaine to a monkey, and they gave him the little thing, taught him how to inject it in himself. And this monkey was so addicted to the cocaine, he stopped eating, stopped sleeping. He kept injecting himself until he finally just died. He didn't know when to stop, couldn't get enough. Same thing with the Democrats. They will keep going and going and going and going. And that's what they did in this case. They went too far. They threw too much garbage on the wall, and it was no longer a good painting. It just became a mess. They went from this man not having any record to one accusation to now he's a big sex pen kingpin. See, and that right there shows you that something ain't right. You went straight to the top, started from the bottom, now I'm headed to the top. And they went straight to the top. No baby steps. Anyway, check out the hearing if you got time. I tried to sum it up in about a half an hour, and that's tough, man. I had to really try to condense it, but it was good. It was real good. It was like watching a soap opera all night. Anyway, you're listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Don't forget to check out Extreme Tees when you get a chance. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Twitter. Like this video. Share this video. And if you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, there's links in the bottom. And we will see you next time in Kevin's Corner. God bless. Let's get one more dose of that. Yeah, come on. Hit me harder. Come on. Hit me harder. Yeah, Adrian, listen. Nothing is over. Nothing. Yeah, y'all don't know nothing about Rocky. God bless.